I have a question. Can we as black women really complain about European beauty standards while wearing the hair of other women on our head? While wearing weaves, long straight weaves from women that don't look like us? Like, is that consistent or is it inconsistent? My personal opinion is, there's a constant conversation about colors and textures and futurism. Why men don't like dark skinned women, specifically why black men don't like dark skinned women, or why black women or dark skinned women get overlooked. And look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like their colorism isn't real. It obviously is. It affects both men and women. And so it is real. And I've said this before, like, yeah, we live in a society where there is a hierarchy of beauty, there's a hierarchy of wealth, of class, of race. And so that's what we live in. But what I think is odd and what I find really strange is that some of the main complainers of the colorism, texturism, featureism, do not rock their own natural features, do not wear their natural hair. They will complain and wear a very long, straight weave in their head. And mind you, I don't think, having a weave makes you a horrible person or is bad per se. As I said, I recently wore a weave for my wedding, and I don't think I would do that, regularly speaking, but I'm glad I did it for that special occasion. So I'm not saying that it's like, oh, you're a horrible person, right? Just if you have a piece in your head. But I do think we as black women look really hypocritical if we are the main ones complaining about texturism, colorism, futurism, and we're not embracing our natural features. It just looks hypocritical and it sounds crazy. And I think there's people who look at us and they're like, what's going on with you? You're making no sense. And my personal opinion is that while there are certainly colorist men, just like there are certainly colorist women, more often than not, the reason a woman may find a hard time finding love or getting a relationship, oftentimes it has more to do with maybe her attitude, maybe her, inability to be vulnerable, maybe her fear, her projection, her meanness, her personality, which she attracts. Like, a lot of times we just have to look in the mirror. Many of the times we just have to look in the mirror. And the reason I say this is because this was my experience. And this is also the experience of many people that I know. And I've said this multiple times. I remember a time when a good friend of mine came up to me and she knew that I was dating, or she knew that I was wanting to date, but I was having a hard time meeting people. And she came up to me one day and she's like, why do you look mean? And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? I'm not a mean person. And she's like, I'm looking at you at the gym. There's all these guys around you and you look mean. And she's like, if I was interested in you, I would not approach you because you look totally unapproachable. And I say this time and time again, that was such a big wake up call to me, because that's when I had to really start to face what was inside of me. Like, what was going on? Why was I giving off those vibes when I internally really wanted to have a relationship? And for me, I knew, yeah, it's because there was some fear of vulnerability there. There was some insecurities. There was all this different stuff. And the thing about it is, if you'd have talked to me, maybe at, around that time, before she confronted me, I probably would have said, like, yeah, there's certain guys don't like me because of the color of my skin. Or yeah, it's because, well, I don't look like this. Like, I would have promoted that narrative of just like, oh, it's because black men out here are colorist, or it's because, they're featurist, or it's because this is, I would have promoted that. But literally, all I did is, receive the truth that she gave me. I did some self-introspection, and I tell you, it's like everything changed. All of a sudden, I'm getting approached all the time. I'm consistently getting asked out to go on dates, and nothing about me has changed as far as like physicality. I hadn't changed in my hair. I hadn't lost a lot of weight. I hadn't gained a lot of weight. I had plastic surgery. Nothing about me had changed other than my attitude. And so I say this time and time and time again. While colorism is certainly a real thing, texturism, that's a real thing too. I mean, those things are real, but I think more often than not, the primary issues we're having in the black community, it's not, white women's beauty standards oppressing us. I think what it is that some of us have some self-hate that we have to deal with. Some of us just don't know how to be real with ourselves and say, hey, I'm afraid, or I've chosen bad guys in the past, therefore I have defense mechanisms up. Some of us are just insecure. But instead of us dealing with our own personal trauma, it's just a lot easier for us to point the finger at somebody else, or it's just a lot easier to just blame it on racism, versus actually look internally and say, hey, maybe I did have that colorist experience, or maybe I did have that, but is that what's really going on? Is it really because all men around me or all black men are colorist? Or is it because, hey, maybe there's something inside of me internally that is causing me to have the experience that I don't want, And so I think it's always good to be introspective. I think it's always good to just look at yourself in the mirror and be honest. And I'll especially say, if you're a woman, who really, really is adamant about not wanting to promote European beauty standards, please do not go on wearing a long, straight blonde weave or a long weave period from a woman that does not look like you. If you are really gung-ho, 100%, I'm pro African black features or whatever, I want to see my kind of beauty be promoted, then please wear your natural hair. Please wear it. Because I'm if you don't, then my personal opinion, you just look inconsistent. You look hypocritical. You look hypocritical talking about, I don't want to be oppressed by these European beauty standards, as you are flinging a fake 100% Brazilian lace front weave in someone else's face. To me, I'm that's actually kind of hypocritical, and that's why people don't take us seriously when we have these conversations, other than the other women in our circle, in our echo chamber. But outside of that, people are this is just some noise. But that is just my personal opinion. What do you think? Let me know. Leave your questions, comments, concerns in the comment section below. Thank you so much for listening if you've gotten this far, and we'll talk later.